So today I'm doing something a bit different. I'm not sure if this counts as a car thing or a garden thing, but we've got a new little garden shed which got delivered today. I think it's 1.8 meters by 3 meters, and it comes with a little floor kit there. Just a cheap tin shed, but the idea with that is it's going to go outside behind the other little shed, and I'm going to move some of the stuff I've got stored in here that I don't want to throw out but I don't actually use. A lot of that sort of stuff will end up in that shed, so a lot of things from that corner with a pile of torque tubes and wheels, stuff I've just got stored in boxes, just to be able to clean up this area a little bit and make slightly better use of the space, because I want to be able to set up the gazebo thing that we used at my birthday party last year. I want to be able to set that up inside here as a little sort of spray booth, basically. Keep the dust off everything and let me have decent extraction off the fumes, but give me a place out of the elements where I can actually do some painting, because I am going to need to paint the chassis for the Riley and eventually the body. So that's what we're going to be doing there. I'm going to bring the floor section off that shed into here, where I can lay it out on the flat concrete floor, and then we can move it around to where it needs to go and make sure the ground's level, that kind of thing. So that's the plan for today, is try and get the floor done. So as with all these cheap kit set things, and this one was cheap, because it's just a storage shed, I didn't need too much from it. It's just basically a tin box to keep the weather off a few things. But you have to buy the floor kit separately, and of course it's generic instructions for different size sheds, and it doesn't really show you how it all goes together. Kind of does. And on this particular one, it just mentions the shed's 3.5 meters or longer, you need to use nail plates to extend the side bearers, because this is 2 pieces of timber. But because this is less than 3.5 meters, it's 3.07, it doesn't come with those nail plates. So how you're supposed to join it here, I don't know. You kind of have to improvise. You leave a 1-inch gap all the way around, and that's what the shed actually sits down on. So I've got 2 along either side, and there's another 2 in the middle supporting the middle of the floor, and then there's 1 extra piece left over. So I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. What I'm going to do is, I happen to have these other pieces of timber. It's all treated timber, which I bought. I was going to use them in the garden for something, and I can't remember what now. So I am going to screw or nail those to the inside of these long bearers, and I'll make them flush with the top so the floor can sit on them, and that'll join those sides together. And I'll do the same in the middle as well, and that'll give me those long lengths. I have measured it with the inch gap all the way around. This is the right size floor. So, and what I'm hoping is, once we've got the floor assembled, the 2 of us should be able to, it's going to be a bit heavy, but we should be able to lift it up on its side and drag it around to where the shed is going to go, which will be down here. So this is fairly flat. This ground's all compacted. They had to build all of this up so it was above the minimum level for the flooding that's potential around here. So it's all been built up with this hard pack stuff. I did clear it to here, but I'm going to clear it a bit further, I think. And what we might do is we will get a 1,000 litre, they're called IBC container, It's just basically a big plastic container in a metal cage, and that'll store 1,000 litres of water. So we're going to have that set up here, I think, in between the two sheds. I'll build a timber frame to lift that up a little bit, and I will divert the water that comes off big shed guttering. We'll divert that down because I can run it all the way down there, and use that to fill up the tank, I think. Might have to think about how I will do that. How will I get to it once the shed's built? I think the roofs of these are fairly solid, but if I lay a sheet of plywood or something across the top of the roof of the shed, it should be strong enough for me to go up there in order to run that down pipe. Or else probably what I can do is actually just drill straight into the bottom of this and run it straight down. That's probably easier. I think that might work better. I'm just trying to think if there's a way to do it so that when this tank is full of water, it just then drains down that one. Yeah, I need to think about that a little bit. But the other thing we were thinking of is putting guttering on these little sheds and capturing that water, because the water from here does go into our big water tank. So that may be the other way to do it, is just run some guttering on these just a little bit and pipe that down into the storage tank, which will go here. Turns out this garden shed comes with pre-installed spiders. Have the base laid out. The ground here is very hard, so I did get little pegs to tie it down, but I don't think I'll even be able to get them into the ground here, so I don't think I'll need them. I was looking at our shed with the tractor in it, and that doesn't have anything holding that down. I think the shed's big enough that once the weight of it is on the base and it gets nailed around the outside, it'll be fine. And I've got it more or less level enough. And then I think what we'll do is we'll end up putting the IBC water container in here, and I'll put guttering on both of the sheds just to collect the water that comes off them, and we'll use that water for the garden. I need to check the instructions that came with it, because I can't remember where the doors are, if they're in the side here or if they're in the end. I'm pretty sure I got one with them in the end, because that would be easier, and we'll probably just trim the edge of these bushes just so you can get in and out a bit more easily, get around them. But I think that'll be good, and it'll be good just to get some of that stuff I don't want to throw out but don't want to keep in big shed out of the way. Actually, that reminds me, I think it was the very first time I met my mentor Joss, and went round to his place, and he had a big shed, big garage, and then we were looking for a part, and he sort of said, "Oh, come with me," and he took me round behind his shed where he had another little shed full of parts, and he sort of said to me, "Oh, don't you have a shed full of parts at your house?" I distinctly remember that because it was nighttime and it was dark, and I just started a new job where they'd given me a new phone, and I think it was my first smartphone, and so it had a built-in LED, and we were able to use that to see what was in his shed because it was dark. So I'm pretty sure if Joss was around now, he'd be impressed at the number of sheds I've got. He'd probably say I've organised them all wrong, but I think he'd still be impressed. It's my second evening of shed building. I've assembled the walls and the door. There's just the roof to assemble next, and I can start putting the thing up I've put extra rivets in the door based on the fact that these little kits often come with extra bits and pieces. So I didn't spare the rivets just to make it a bit more rigid. The door has bracing on it, so that makes it a little bit stiffer. But it's pretty flimsy. These are diagonal braces, so they'll go in the walls when it's done, and the rest of these parts are for the roof. The kit came with a rivet gun, which is really cheap and nasty. I mean, you'd use it for this job and throw it away if it hadn't jammed up on the second rivet. You can see the rivet shank is stuck in there still. So instead of wasting time messing around with this, I went and got my decent rivet gun. So that'll probably go in the bin. This is one of the cheaper sheds I could find. When we got the shed for the lawnmower, this was a bit more expensive. And the main difference seems to be that it's actually got some slope on the roof. I discovered this one doesn't. It's got a flat roof. So I'm not sure how good that's going to be to keep the water off. I may look at increasing the height at the back or something. I've got plenty of sheet metal, so I might give it a little bit of a drop so the rain runs off. I think I've got plenty of aluminium. And the other difference on these more expensive ones is it comes with these corner flashings, which my one doesn't have. So I notice on this one they've riveted. That'll be where the bracing goes on the inside. So I don't think it's worth making flashing or anything like that for it. I don't know if you can buy that separately. They do suggest on this one when you assemble it, so you're going to have to do something clever with the corners. They say run a bead of silicone down inside the corner, which I think I've got, so should be able to do that. But it's about 7:30 now. I think I will do the rest tomorrow evening. And I was hoping to get to the Riley petrol tank and give it a second coat of Red Kote today, but I've run out of time. I've been doing the shed stuff, of course, which I guess counts as a Riley thing because that's where a lot of the spare Riley parts are going to go. Things like old tires and big stack of old wheels and spare block and bits and pieces. I'm hoping that means I can clear out a lot of this area and get a bit more space. So that might be, don't know if I'll get to it tomorrow, but leaving this to dry a bit longer isn't going to hurt. Basically you just wait until you can't smell acetone anymore, which means all the solvents have evaporated out. So leaving it another day isn't going to hurt. And I'm pretty sure my rivets for these little straps are going to arrive tomorrow. So maybe I'll take a break from shed building and do that. But when I assemble the shed, I really want a nice, clear, non-windy day, because they're quite big panels and they are actually quite flimsy until you get them all together. So I'm not sure. I think it'll be reasonably strong with the walls up and screwed to the base and the corner pieces put in, and then I can look at how I can raise the roof up to give it that sort of runoff. I think what I will do is probably go out and buy some lengths of timber. I don't think it needs much runoff, so maybe some more of that 2-inch square treated timber, and then what I could do is either 2-inch or 2x4, and if I get 2x4, then I can get a piece to go all the way along the back, and then the pieces that go down the side, I can use one piece and cut it diagonally on the bandsaw, and that'll give me the angle I want. So might be a trip up to the local hardware place tomorrow as well. Out in my shed again. I haven't done much with the other shed except for finish nailing down the floor, but that's outside, of course. On the Riley today, I got some bits and pieces. I got my rivets, monol rivets, which I'm going to use to rivet the strap that holds the tank to the brackets, and I have painted the brackets, drilled the holes for the rivets and painted those. I made a bit of a mistake, and I did the first coat of paint using my kill rust, and then when I went to do the second coat, I picked up the wrong can and actually picked up the engine enamel and put on a coat of that, and then I went back and did another coat of the anti-rust paint, and it seems to have stuck. They're both enamel paints, but it's given it a little bit of a crackle effect. Not sure if you can see that. It's not unpleasant looking, so I was going to take all the paint off and start again, but I figured no, let's let it dry and see what happens. Maybe that's a good way to get a sort of crackle finish on things, which is normally quite hard to get. So that kill rust paint is fuel proof. It's a good enamel paint. It takes ages to dry, a couple of weeks, but once it is dry, it sticks very well to bare steel, and it is, that's petrol, it is petrol proof. So that's what I'm going to be painting the chassis with. I spent ages researching what paints to use, and everybody you ask has a different opinion. I use this stuff on my Austin 7. It comes in tins so I can spray it. It comes in rattle cans so you can touch it up, and it does give a nice fairly glossy sort of finish. So all of the chassis is going to be done in that. That's basically what this strap, this cross member that the fuel tank bolts to, that's what that's painted with. And it's meant to be anti-rust, so that's good. As well as the rivets, I did get some tank strap. That is what it's called. It's just rubber strap, and turns out you can get it in 1-inch diameters, which is 1-inch width, which is good. So that perfectly fits the metal straps I'm using, the stainless steel straps. So I will let the paint dry, and then I will rivet the strap. I'll have to drill out the holes to my brackets over there when the paint's dry, and then when it's in the car and sitting how it should do, I'll be able to see where these top clamps fall and cut the strip in the appropriate place. It's good that it's got so many holes because I don't know exactly what length I'll need, but I should be able to get it lined up quite nicely, and then I will rivet those like that to the underside. I'll drill the holes, paint these, and then a week or so later, once the paint is nice and dry, rivet the straps in place. And I did make little wedges, I guess you'd call them. Those will go on there, so the strap will come over these and then pull straight down to the chassis rail. And I've also put in the second layer of the Red Kote tank liner. If we grab a torch, might be able to see in there. So it's given it a really nice decent coating inside there. Now hopefully I managed to get it all around the baffles and things. I definitely did get it into all the seams. That's pretty easy. You can tip it up. It'll be the front face of that baffle where maybe it hasn't gone everywhere, but it should have gone all the way around the seam on the baffle as well, and in this seam here from the inside. So that should be pretty good. Again, I'll leave that. Oh, it's going to be a long time before I actually put petrol in it, but once that is dry on the inside, I'm going to paint the outside of the tank. If I use that kill rust paint, then it'll be petrol proof, which is good. I do have silver or gloss aluminium. I'm not sure if that one is petrol proof. I should I'll do a test on that. I'll spray some on a piece of steel, and I'll use the other end of my piece of steel and make sure that's fuel resistant as well, just in case there's any spillage. You don't want it just taking the paint straight off. And what else did I get? Whoops. If I do fit indicators, I got this switch, which is a modern switch, but it has a light in it. So it's a center off left right toggle, and there is a little bulb in there. It's actually a bulb, not an LED, and that lights up when the switch is in either of the left or right positions. So I think I can show that. It might be tricky with one hand. It's a bit awkward trying to get clips onto it. There we go. So when the indicators are on, that will glow. So that's probably what I'll use for the indicator switch. It's not period, but to get a period switch that would do that is a bit tricky. So turn that off. So that's an option anyway, and that's a good quality. Well, it should be a good quality switch. And I'll need to play with little flasher units and things to see how they work. And I think that's it for the Riley tonight. Outside in the shed again, and my new shed, I've made all the panels. It's a little bit too windy to actually put it up today. That's the roof for it. So I'm hoping tomorrow it's a little bit less breezy. I got some timber to make a sort of extension on the roof to lift it up, and on the bandsaw I trimmed some sort of edge pieces. So when the roof goes on, it'll have that along the back edge and then these along the sides. That piece is of course about that much too short, but I've got a little offcut off it, so I will extend it in the middle. So with nothing left to do on that, I have started working on the tank straps again. I've riveted the stainless steel to the painted brackets. These rivets are really strong. It's actually quite hard with my hand rivet gun to close them up. It takes quite a lot of force, and it's quite sore on the hands when the rivet pops. But I've got it done. I've bolted these onto here, and this is the tank strap rubber, and I have drilled these so that they'll go on there. What I'll do is I will pop rivet them so that the heads are on the back, so that this is backwards, so that it'll sit flush and sit flat like that, and then the bolt will pull those together. So what I want to do is I will paint these tonight. leave them till the end of the weekend before I complete this by riveting them on there. I've already drilled these holes out just a little bit bigger for the rivets. So what I will do now is I'll put this back in the car and figure out, put the front ones on in the same way to figure out exactly where I need to trim the straps. It's going to be sort of here somewhere anyway. It's not too hard to figure out where, and the spacing on this isn't hugely critical. I can always just use a longer bolt, but I want to keep these as close together as possible but still give me the room to compress these up. And I've also just used a strip of that rubber in between the bottom of the tank and the wooden blocks, just for a bit of resilience there, give it a little bit of anti-rattle, anti-vibration, I guess, and also gives something to compress down when this is all strapped down tight. But it's looking pretty good so far. It's as far as I can go tonight. I think I have put in the rear straps, marked them to length and cut them, and I've painted the little brackets. There's them hanging up there. So I'll leave them a few days to dry, and then it should just be a matter of riveting those onto the straps, and that should be done. It's come out fairly neat. I quite like how that looks. It's nice and tidy. I just hope that that bolt will be able to pinch it up enough to keep it all in place, and the tank strap just nicely finishes off the edges so you can't cut yourself on them or anything. But yeah, I think that should work fairly well. And I've been thinking about the things like the indicator switch and where I'm going to put that. I'm very tempted to have a second little panel, sort of maybe behind this one, so I can keep those modern looking switches off the main panel, have them somewhere separate. I think somewhere I've also got a sort of clamp on switch that clamps onto the steering column, so that may be another option. I need to figure out where that is. It's in a box somewhere. But that's looking pretty good. I'll also have to paint the outside of the tank, of course. The other day I was going to spray a piece of steel with some silver paint. I completely forgot, so I'll do that now, and then I'll test if that's fuel proof. The black definitely is, once it's fully cured. I've no idea how long this film is getting, so I might stop this one now and upload it. It takes me ages to upload anything from where we are, because we're on rural broadband, so it's wireless, and it's very, very slow, especially for upload. The other day, I think one of the last films I did was almost an hour long, and it took 12 hours I think it was to upload and process that, which is just ridiculously slow. So I'll try and keep them a bit shorter.